Hello, and welcome to A Little Room for Healing, where we talk a little about healing, and then we do a little healing, and then we talk a little bit more. My name is Joel. I'm your host, and today my guest is Mari. How you doing, Mari? Thanks for coming in.
Hi, I'm happy to be here.
Oh, it's so good to have you. So I want to start off with check-ins, and I'll go first. The check-ins are just how we're doing right now. Right now, I'm feeling like I'm still grounding. We just set up this whole new setup, set-wise, and I'm really excited about it. And it took a little bit of doing, but we did it. So I'm feeling excited about that and grounding into that. I am really looking forward to talking with Mari today. Never know what's going to come up with Mari, and I love that about her. Yeah, I think that's it. That's it for me. How are you doing? What's your check-in?
I am feeling excited and joyful. I'm very excited that you invited me to be on your podcast. And with that excitement comes like this little bit of like, I wonder why they asked me to be here. So all of that is here with me.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's a great question. I love that. Why do they ask me to be here? Why am I here? Because I'm finding that these podcasts, there's no set, hey, come in and let's talk about this. It's just what's coming up for you right now that leads into the energy healing, and then we just stay with what's happening. So I think we're going to find out why you were asked to come in.
I'm here for the unfolding. Yeah.
I am wondering, let's just jump in. Let's jump into some good stuff, huh?
Yeah. Okay.
What is most alive in you on your healing journey right now?
I think what's most alive in me is I've found myself at this point of like really grateful and joyous expansion. And like I can feel more subtleties about myself and about the world around me. And as I keep expanding that awareness, I'm noticing this kind of like, it feels, I'm noticing like a block. I'm noticing something where it's like, okay, there are hard feelings that my body isn't ready to process, or my mind, parts of me aren't ready to process. So I've been like coming up against this wall more so. And it's kind of been making me very curious about what's on the other side of that wall.
What does the wall feel like?
I guess the best way to describe it, I feel like I can see on the other side of it. It feels less of a wall and more like I'm standing on top of like a frozen over lake. And I feel like there's like this depth of like emotion that like so many parts of me just want to like dive into it. But there's this, kind of callus over it that kind of needs to be melted and softened.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Would you say that the callus is it protecting? Is it something that was built up to protect you from these feelings, or something else?
It feels that way. It's certainly like I can kind of feel like little springs of that emotion come up, and it's like deep sadness. I can sense that it's anger, but I can't really feel the fullness of that. And it really feels as if there are a lot of feelings that I've been conditioned to avoid, stay away from, don't talk about, don't feel about. And I got like really good at that, to the point where it's just been such a big part of my everyday like practice as a living person to avoid those feelings, that now when I'm looking at them, it's kind of like that protector part is trying to be like, but no, you can't look here. But no, you can't look here. Like, we're protecting you. And it really feels like as if it's saying, we're protecting you from these feelings. But I have a hunch that, like, it might be the other way around. These feelings are very vulnerable spots that, like, don't want to be touched.
Is there a sense that you were taught not to feel these feelings, and that's kind of how the protector thing came into play?
Well, yeah. So a lot of my conditioning around my emotions has to do with what was taught to me, what was modeled, and also what was disciplined into me through the way I was raised. In the culture I grew up in, it's very normal to hit your kids as a form of discipline. So anytime I cried, anytime I was angry, I got hit. So for me, not only do I have to deal with like getting used to feeling the emotional pain of just being with painful feelings, but then there's that other layer on top where I'm still processing like the physical pain of being hit when I'm feeling those feelings. So
Yeah.
yeah.
There's a lot of fear in there. And were you scared to show emotion when you were being hit? Like, did you feel like you had to keep any fear or crying inside?
Well, it was the wild part is a lot of my memories were that I was already crying, I was already angry, and then that's when I got hit. Because it was the emotions that were being disciplined, not me as a person.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
I see why there would be a callous ice
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
your emotional center, or
Yeah.
all these feelings that are like,
That want to come out. And it's like, that's why I was saying, it's like, it feels like not only is it protecting me, it's protecting the emotions, like, got hurt too. Right? Like, the emotions. Yeah, right? The emotions got hurt too. Like, they were just being. They were just being the emotions. And then they were part of this part in me, you know, that experienced pain for being exactly as they were. So it's been a lot of, like, deconstructing that and allowing those parts of me to like trust that it's now safe to be whatever you need to be. Yeah.
I so want that for you.
Thanks. I want that too.
So want
I
that
would
for
love
you.
that. Yeah.
Before you said that you were in this expansive state, and you were feeling more subtleties. Can you expound on the subtleties and what you're feeling? Is this actually what you're talking about with the emotions underneath the lake, or are there other subtleties that you're feeling?
There are other subtleties. Yeah. So I feel like because I've been practicing kind of this expansive awareness and getting into a state where it's like more quiet outside of me and inside of me. Like, I don't watch as much TV as I used to. I don't listen to as much music, especially going to sleep. Like, I try my best. Now my practice and what feels good is just to be really quiet and just to listen what's around me and notice and this and that, you know? And that's also the journey that's been happening inside, like trying to, you know, meditate more and praying more and kind of listening to the parts of me that want to speak. And I feel like that journey has like I don't feel like this journey has most definitely opened me up in ways that I never thought possible. Like, I never, like, I'm coming to the realization that I've always been a sensitive person, but I've had to harden myself so I could feel safe and feel protected, not only in my house, but like in the world. Did I answer your question? You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm really curious the process by which you are attempting to release these emotions or feel these emotions, I guess.
It's so I feel like that's like a long-winded answer, but I guess that's why we're on a podcast, right? I guess my journey to feel my feelings started almost 10 years ago at this point. Around like my 25th birthday, I kind of had this like kind of big like it felt like a really low point in my life. And I had a friend, a very loving friend, was pointed out like, you need to love yourself. And I'm like, how to though? Like, we hear that a lot. You need to love yourself. You need to whatever, feel your feelings. And it's like, but how? So I went into this whole journey of like, I think the first step to actually feel my feelings was allowing my feelings to manifest. So I got really into like manifestation, into like The Secret and things like that, where it's like I realized that all the things that I wanted in my life, it was actually because I wanted to feel the feelings that I thought they were going to give me. Like I thought a job was going to make me feel secure. I thought a partner was going to make me feel loved. I thought more money was going to make me feel safe. When really, like, I just wanted those feelings. I wanted to feel secure, to feel safe, and all these things. And then I came to a point in my life, like, right around the pandemic, where I, like, probably right before the pandemic, it was like, oh, I had everything. I had all the things that I thought would bring me these emotions, and I still couldn't feel the emotions. And, like, I gratitude journal the shit out of my life. Like, I positive affirmation. I did it all, you know? Like, even, like, you know, they say, well, if you're not open, say, I'm open to feeling the feeling of love. And it's like, cool, like, still open, still, like, feeling this huge pit of despair. And then a big part of me changing my process into truly like being with my feelings was at the time I was listening to this one podcaster, Duncan Trussell, and he had our friend David on. And like the one thing that really spoke to me and really screamed at me through their whole interview was like at the end there was just this feeling of just like radical love. Like using love not just to like help heal yourself and other people, but to like truly radically love people in order to like heal the world. And I was like, sign me up. I want that. And David, I kind of like I fangirled for a bit where I was like, follow everything. Follow the letter, do that. And I think the best, like, this sounds weird. The best part about meeting David and working with him is that it led me to this beautiful community of people who are also feeling what I'm feeling, in the sense of like trying to go on this journey of understanding themselves more. And it really wasn't until I found this community of people who were putting language to all the questions I had, where, you know, we talk about receiving, like, I had to really think about, well, what does receiving feel like? What does it feel like in my body? Like, and getting really attuned to what was happening inside me. And I think the biggest aha moment in this whole process has been trying not to fight with all the emotions that are here, and trying to let them be, right? Yeah. Like trying to let them, now I get to mother myself. I get to parent myself the way my parents didn't do it for me. So now I get to go to these hurt parts of myself and be like, if you're sad, then just be sad and not try to affirmation that away anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How was the journey to being able to reparent yourself? Like, was it a difficult journey?
It's still difficult. It's the, I think I met you like 2 years ago, at one of the retreats, and we were just talking about this the other day, where I was like, I was so in my head about it, and I was like, I need my brain to figure it out. And like retreat after retreat, it just kept on showing me that, I've been combative with these parts of myself, and there has been this judge of right and wrong, and these are right feelings and wrong feelings, good and bad, where if I was feeling a feeling, then I would punish myself. If I wasn't feeling a feeling that I thought I should be feeling, I would punish myself with shame and guilt. And I think being able to practice allowing my feelings to just be has quieted and has taken power away from that judge. And now the power, I'm like allowing, like I'm distributing the wealth, like it's like really like radically, like that's what it feels like. I'm radically loving myself, where it's like, how can I give the power to these parts of me that have felt powerless? Yeah. And it's still hard. Like, I think, kind of going back into like my healing journey, like with my partner, I'm noticing a lot of the pain we're feeling is kind of similar, or it's like triggering each other. So it's hard for me to like be with them in their experience when I'm like also going through my own. So I'm like, okay, I need to look at this. I need to look at what's happening here, because I don't want to be reactive anymore. I don't want to end up, like I think me and my partner are both in a space where we know it's not personal. We know we're just reacting because of our feelings, but we don't want to get into that weird, it feels, it just feels so yucky.
It's you're in a place where you're realizing that you are reacting, you're being triggered, something in you is being triggered by a feeling that they're having, and you are then now going, oh wow, I can look at this and I can actually figure out what's going on inside of me that's making me reactive to that specific event that's happening over there. And instead of blaming, you're going in and going, what is going on and how can I be with it so that I can better be with myself and my partner.
Exactly. Yeah. Like the other day, I realized that I was expressing like my frustration and angst about something that was happening like within me and in my own experience. And then I realized it brought up my partner's frustration and angst with their own situation. But I think that I've come to a point in my practice where like I'm just like, okay, the angst is here. And they were just like, I don't want to be this person. And I'm like, I know, but it's just like there. Like it's here. Like I'm here for that. And then their tightness activated the tightness that I still have around those feelings. So now we're both tight and we're both trying to, I'm like, you're not seeing this. And they're like, I'm not feeling, and now we're not feeling each other because we're both so tight. So we have, okay, I'm going to call you back in an hour.
Yeah. Good move.
Yeah, it was great. And they were even like, I'm so happy you said that. And I was like, yeah, I'm so happy I said that. Yeah. And then also like what came up like was that I realized that I needed boundaries. And I realized that a lot of the frustration and anger, or a lot of me kind of like trying to make my partner see what I was seeing, even though they that wasn't where they were at and that isn't what they needed. I guess it was me trying to like be with them because I didn't want them to feel abandoned. And then I realized, oh, actually, I don't want to feel abandoned.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I've been emotionally abandoned my whole life. And, being able, I was like, well, if I'm there for them, then they won't leave me. It was like this weird, like... Codependent and hurt little girl logic. Yeah. Right? And it's like, that's not where we're at anymore. So...
What did you do in the hour that you took away from your partner?
Took a nap. that helped so much. Yeah, you're upset. Take a nap. Just close your eyes for 20 minutes. I and then after the nap, I like not really calmed myself down, but I was like really trying to understand and track where my feelings were. And then looking back throughout the whole conversation, like half an hour before we actually hung up, I noticed the moment. I could see the moment where they were in their tightness and I saw them in their tightness and I called them out on their tightness and it made them even tighter and I wasn't letting that go. And I was like, wow. I could have stepped away there. And I could have been like, listen, you're on your way home from work. You don't like work. These are always difficult conversations whenever you call me when you're coming home from work. Call me when you get home. It could have just been that. But no, that tight part of me, and it was, and I recognize now that it's, as I'm talking about it, that it was also the part of me that wants me to look at my own anger. I was like, look at what your frustration is. But I'm also going through that same thing where I'm having trouble facing my own. So I'm like, I guess I need more plant medicine. Because that's like, I can feel in my body where my body just feels very unsafe being with those feelings. And, plant medicine has really helped me practice feeling safe with things that make me feel unsafe.
That sounds powerful. The plant medicine being able to assist you in that.
Yeah.
When you called your partner out on the tightness, was it in an accusatory way, like you're being tight, or you're feeling something? Or what? Or were you like, I'm feeling like there's a tightness happening here? I've been really trying to look at communication.
Yeah, the way we say things. Yeah. I am trying to think back. I want to say. I want to say that I was like, oh, I'm feeling tightness from you. But it probably came out more like, I'm trying to really feel into it. Like, I probably came out like oh, honey, you're real tight right now. Like, one of those. Yeah. And then, I basically, like, I saw, like, going back, I can't remember the exact words, but going back, I did see, it was like, I called them out. It really wasn't a, like, hey, here's what I'm picking up on. Even though that was what was happening, I was like, I can see how a lot of the things felt very accusatory from their end because they were already in this tightness. Yeah. And I could see...
And because of your own tightness happening in the face of their tightness.
Yeah. There was just a whole lot of tightness.
It could happen so fast.
Oh my gosh.
Where we just disengage from our experience just for a split second, and then something comes out, and then it's like avalanche or snowballing. And then we're like, okay, let's take a break. Take an hour. We'll
reconnect.
We'll regroup, and then come back.
Yeah.
Great move.
Yeah. Because, I realized it became less about me. It became less about me being there for my experience while they were experiencing, and it became me trying to be for their experience, which, like, is not my job, but has been my conditioning. Again, with my parents, where it's, like, very codependent, where I always had to, my dad had, like, a really, like, hair trigger anger sometimes, where even my mom, like, would say things to me sometimes, so I had to really watch and, like, pick up on, like, oh, what's the dynamic that's happening in the house right now, and what can I do to try to alleviate it?
Yeah, eggshell walking, constantly on the lookout of being the tension easer.
Yeah.
I know that well myself.
Yeah. And then also, like, that whole thing where it's like, well, if I'm a good kid, if I'm doing everything good and everything right, then, I'm solving I'm not a problem for my parents. Like, my brother, like, really wasn't great at school. So I was like, well, I need to be great at school. And, like, trying to be, I realized, especially after my dad died, that, I worked really hard trying to be the good daughter when I was really young. And those were also the times when I was, like, getting hit. They stopped hitting me around, I think I was maybe like 5 or 6 years old when they stopped, because the school found out that my dad was hitting us. So they, a teacher found out, they had to report it, and they had to, address it with my father, and then let me and my brother know, like, that can't happen anymore. And if it does happen, you need to come to us about it. So it became this whole thing that I didn't really unravel until my dad passed away, where I have all these trust issues, where it's like, oh, like, I don't trust my parents to, like, truly take care of me, even though logically throughout my life they've always showed up to make sure I was fed, to make sure I had a car. Like, love was shown through material items versus being truly present for my experience, and my safety being number one. Yeah. And it took my dad dying for that to start unraveling. Because, like, me and my dad toward the end, and I still have a lot of guilt around it, I think I have less guilt and more just general pain and sadness, that before he passed away, our relationship was really strained because I was having a very hard time dealing with truths that he didn't want to be revealed about the choices he's made in his past. Like, it wasn't until, I would say, 2019, where my mom had a heart attack, and she was just like, I just need to be honest about myself and my experience. I've been quiet for so long, and I didn't know. Like, I could feel the love that wasn't present in my household, but I didn't know I also couldn't wrap my head around the severity of the type of emotional abuse my mom was getting from my dad. And, as a teenager, I did hear them fighting. I did hear the accusatory terms and things like that, but, it was really. I shut myself out of that, and I focused on school things, and I was always out of the house, and I was always doing something else, so I didn't have to be there for that experience.
Yeah, the frozen lake just keeps making more and more sense, doesn't it?
There are just all these layers where I think I think I did have this level of wisdom as a child, because I remember, like, when I was like 13, I remember my mom telling me, don't cry about something. And I remember telling her, like, I'm not a robot, I'm going to cry. And then my crying was a rebellion, But, there's still all these layers of pain that I've logicked my way out of, and I used my young wisdom to get myself out of, to make myself a resilient person. But, like, that resilience only happened because of all this pain that is, to this day, unaddressed and still being processed.
It feels like, I hear all that, by the way, because I'm slightly shifting. Feels like now would be a really great time for me to give you some energy healing.
Great. I'm so happy we tapped into this thing I haven't really held in a while. So I'm noticing the fear of touching these vulnerable spots. But I'm also, like, very open and very down.
Can you tell me a little bit about the fear?
Feeling into it, it's like I'm realizing how much I've been holding and how much I pride myself on holding it. So the fear comes in the letting go of it, because there's also this weird, like, pride and comfort that those feelings have within me. Like, I get to be this righteous victim because of the things I've been through. And, I don't want to be that way. And I want to heal that for the generations. Because, being with my mom, I was with her a lot these past few weeks, and she loves being the righteous victim. And I don't want to be that. And I noticed that part of me that I inherited from her that wants to hang on to this. It's made me strong. And it's like, you're wild for that. Like, it has. And I talk to my mom a lot about it, where whenever I cry, she's like, don't cry, be strong. And I'm like, my tears are my strength, Mom.
Yeah. I understand the fear that you're feeling of that part, not of maybe moving through that part, or letting the emotions come and releasing that safety, that safe container that you've created of being the victim, the self-righteous.
Yeah.
Because it's what you've known for so long, and who knows what happens when that's gone. Where, like, is there a safety net?
Yeah. I heard this is one of a podcaster said this, and I really liked it. It was like, my brain is more afraid of what it doesn't know than of what it knows hurts them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree.
But I'm ready. Oh my God, I'm ready. 13. We're doing 13 octave, right?
Yep.
Oh, I'm so.
Ooh, cool. And I'm really excited, feeling you in such an open place right now to get in there and see what comes out.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you sharing all this and going to this open place with me. I'm really excited to be here with you and happy to be here with you in it.
Same. Thank you, Joel.
Would you like to set an intention or two, or however many you'd like for this session?
I would like to release the things, the emotions and pain that I've been carrying that were inherited from my parents, and I'd like to start melting that ice on top of that lake.
I love that intention. I had a nice little tingle go down my whole right side with that intention. Beautiful.
Yeah, let's
Beautiful.
do it.
Let's do it.
I'm so excited.
Okay, we will be back after Mari's 13th octave Lahuchi session. And we're back from the session. I am so curious about your experience.
Wow. I like this one.
Yeah.
It was cool. Like, I think off the bat, the incantations in the beginning, like, really hit. I think just like me as, like, a curious person who has been working with and calling in angels, that was really cool, really resonant. I noticed how loud my brain was. It was just really like thinking of things and thinking of work and thinking of this and thinking of that. And it was like, I feel like the first like half of our time, to the point where I'm like, am I ever gonna like kind of, because at one point usually I get like a dropping in kind of feeling. And I was like, am I ever gonna drop in? And then throughout that time I kept on noticing my right arm kept on twitching.
Yeah.
I was like, what's that? And then I think around the point when I was like, am I ever gonna drop in? Like my arm like really twitched to the point I thought I was gonna drop the crystal. And then like I kind of straightened up, and it was like I feel like I feel like I finally came into my body and got clear. And then like the words like I'm here came in, and then like that felt really moving, like I felt something really move inside of me. And then what was interesting, I followed my brain to kind of go like, oh, who's here? Who's I? That one to an interesting thing. It was funny the amount of sounds my stomach was making. It just was making me laugh. Especially when you were right on top and it was just going.
It makes those sounds when you've hit deep relaxation. That's the stomach starts going.
Okay, it was just funny. Like every time I was just like, I would say the really big moments for me was that when I like almost dropped the crystal and then I felt like I finally came in. And then all of a sudden I felt like a chill. And as I felt the chill, I felt like it was like these, like spirits came in. And then they started like circling, like right above like my sacral area. And I felt them to be my ancestors, like being with me for this. And like throughout the time I kept on like feeling, okay, like these parts of me were getting like I felt on noticing the tension in my body as we got like going lower and lower. And I could notice the part of me that wanted them to go away, and then the part of me that just wanted to let them be.
Let who be?
Let the tension.
The tension.
Yeah. I think the one point that was like very, like really moving for me was shortly after I felt my ancestors with me. Like even before that, I could feel like tingling in my bottom, and it made me think about the physical abuse that I got growing up. Like I don't remember feeling the physical pain from it. So when I got the tingling in the bottom, that like it kind of brought up those feelings in me, not of pain, but I guess like of the emotional pain that's around there. And I just remember like my ancestors, it felt like they like circled around me, and then like a little time after, like you had your hands on my shoulders, and all of a sudden I felt like a square, like I was in a coffin. And then that's when I got really emotional, because I was like, this is dying with me. I am not gonna hit my children. And I am not passing on the abuse that is so normalized in our family. I was like, this is dying with me. Then I felt my ancestors were around me. They were like, whoa, that's how you do it? And I was like, yes, I'm not, like, I refute. Like, that's not what's happening. We're not going to do it. And then I felt the rage, the anger of what happened to me. And then I felt like I was like, okay, well, now you're dying. You're in your coffin. This part of you is dying. And then at one point after that, you called in the Lahuti master to help heal. And then I felt these like wisps like coming out of my body. And it looked like kind of like frequency. And it just like was coming out of my body.
Wow.
Yeah. And then the last thing that's coming to me now that I remember is like toward the end, I got this image of these like someone sweeping my eyes. Like a little person was on my eyes. It was like sweeping away. And they were like, okay, you get to see yourself differently now.
Oh.
Yeah. And what's funny, I saw it, I'm going to say it this, okay, I'm going to say it and then I'm going to explain it. I saw it in American and then I also saw it in Filipino. In the sense that the image that I saw first was Filipinos have this, we call it, what we use to sweep outside is just like a bundle of sticks that's tied up. So it was that first. And then I also saw like the American version, like I translated it in my brain to like a broom. So like sweeping that away. So yeah. And then I guess there is one thing I do want to point out that I did feel was that throughout the whole time, especially like as time progressed, I was like, is this over yet? Like, how long is this? So long. And then I was like, what? Like, it kept on, it was like, are we done yet? Is it over? Is it over yet? And like, it reminded me of like my mom. We recently had a conversation where I told her I was in recovery. And she's like, well, how long are you going to be in recovery for? Like, you need to get a job. And I'm like, whoa, Mom, thanks. And then as I, afterward, as I let that settle in, it also reminded me of just like, I kind of felt sad about the times where I just had to like sit there as a child and take whatever abuse I was getting. And I didn't have power. But like, having that feeling of finally coming into my body and saying, I'm here. I felt so empowering.
Oh, that's so good.
That feels complete.
Oh, thank you for that share.
Thank you. Your turn.
I have questions.
Yeah.
When you were saying, is this over yet? Was it, I know what you related to and I hear that.
Yeah.
I'm also wondering if were you actually wanting it to be over?
There was this, like, I feel like the physical part of me, the part of me that was like, that's easily avoids, that doesn't want, that like, oh, I'm uncomfortable, let me immediately change it so I can be comfortable. That part of me was is this over yet? But then there's this other part, the part of me that wants to heal, is like, no, we're doing this. Here we are. Feel the discomfort. It's uncomfortable. Like, you thought this was going to be fun? Like, no, it's uncomfortable. Just feel. And I think that's, I guess I want to say that's been like the biggest blessing of this whole healing journey I've been on is I get to feel everything. And it's fucking wild. It's great. I love that. I love that I get to feel it all.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a wonderful place to land.
Yeah.
To be happy that you get to feel it all. And blessed that you get to feel it all.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't all feel good.
No.
I sometimes find that the things that do feel good are actually really hard to feel too.
Wait, I'm happy you brought that up because I was like, okay, well, part of me was kind of like curious to see if I could feel love the way I know it. And it brought me to these moments in the past week where I was preparing for a reading for my friend whose mother had passed away. And then her mom kept coming to me at times where I'm like, this is inconvenient. And then I could feel her there, and I I could feel all this love. And then I just started crying. Just crying so much. And it was so much of the pain I held because, like, I didn't, the kind of love that my friend got from her mother, and also that I got from her mother, from what I know of her, that, like, I just never felt that from my parents. You know, whether they didn't have that or it was blocked because of all the trauma. But, like, that intensity of love, like, and, like, I feel like there were points on the table where I did feel it, where that's where a lot of my tears were coming from, was this part of me that was like there were times where I cried, and then afterward it felt like a relief, because it was like, I've been wanting to feel this love, and it felt so good. And it was, I guess I was talking about, like, what's on the other side of that wall, and it was just like the pain being expressed, and then the other side is that relief of finally feeling loved.
That's good.
Right?
That's so good.
That's a reel. Edit that as a reel.
That kind of leads into my next question, which is, do you feel like you got your intention met of having some of the ice thaw?
I really did feel like I felt it move. I think at one point I just felt like these tingles coming from, like, right in between my solar plexus and sacral, like right around my abdomen. I felt the tingles going down to my toes. And then, like, that was when one solitary tear fell. And I was like, oh my God, it's happening. Yeah.
That was a really wonderful moment. I didn't see the tear actually fall, but I actually was, like, looking down off to the right a little bit when this was happening, and then I heard you and felt you, because I had my hands in your shoulders. I heard you and felt you go like that, like one of those shaky breaths when an emotion is coming through. And so I looked back at your face and I saw a streak of it. What had been a tear.
One solitary
I saw
tear.
the wake of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, like, it really felt really good to see, and I was so happy. There was a moment, one of the hand positions, I think it's over your heart. It's a triangle over your heart and sternum, sternal notch. And I was really seeing, this is right before the shoulders thing. This is like the hand right before the shoulder, position right before the shoulders. And during that one, I had this strong notion to send in Saint Germain's violet flame at this moment. And I was envisioning it going into that space, and then I envisioned the lake, the frozen lake, and the fire just on top of the whole lake, just burning it and melting it. And just as much as it could, and then it got really concentrated, and I was like, okay, it softened a little bit, and then it went to one spot, and it just put a huge ball of like stream of flame in it, just to make a hole. And then I sent Universal Mother Mary's blue diamond energy in there, which is just pure love. And I sent it into the hole, and I filled up the underneath the surface of the ice with that, and then I covered again the top with the violet flame, and it was just like on both sides, just like.
Oh, that's so rock and roll. I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It was cool.
Beautiful. What a beautiful image. Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I am. I don't want to get too off topic, but even in your incantations, the one that jumped out to me was the one with purple light. Is that Saint Germain, or was it what? Or no, that's
It's one of the archangels.
archangels. Yeah, J some
Jovial.
Jovial. For some reason, that like popped out to me. And also like all of the qualities that were coming out, I was like very resonant with the
Cool.
joy and the playfulness and the humor. And I love how like my ending, it ended with something like really playful and funny.
Yeah. uh, uh, what did you say when you sat up from the table? I think it was. That was cool.
Oh, it was so cool. I feel like I was listening to one of your other episodes. I forget who it was. And they were saying it felt like a roller coaster. And yeah, it felt like that to me. Like a lot of like, there were like lots of ups and downs and like, you know, when the coaster like kind of like grabs your breath and I was like, and then the whole time my body's like, I don't want to be here. Like literally what it's like on a roller coaster for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You're not a roller coaster person?
I am a roller coaster. Well, I used to not be. And then I was just like, let's just do it. Because I wasn't a roller coaster person because I get motion sickness. But then I'm like, pop that Dramamine in and rock and roll. Let's go. Like, and now I love roller coasters, but my body is so used to being sick on them. So my body's still like, we're going to get sick. And I'm like, no, we're not this time. We got it. So yeah, that's what it felt like. It felt like
And you did it without Dramamine today.
without Dramamine. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. I am always in awe of the amount of like lightheadedness after like these energy healings. The closest thing that I've ever had to it was when I was they in the BDSM world they have something called subspace. And that's basically what it felt like. It feels like this kind of like full relaxation, very like light and, you know, kind of dreamy almost. But like this hits so much better. Pun intended, right? This hits so much better. Yeah. Yeah, man. I was thinking that. I was like, wow, this just it was cool. So cool.
Would you do it again?
Yeah, 1000%. Cool. I have to convince my body. My body is still in the like. I think there's just so much, you know, that that I'm currently processing and unpacking. That my body is very much. I think that's why I've been so tired and so sleepy, because I'm noticing the wall that I'm hitting and where it's coming from, and my body's just like, no.
What's coming up for me when you say that is the body is noticing that you are shifting from that mentality or that safe way that you were before that we were talking about before the session, and it may be feeling that a shift is coming and it's going to be in a different space, and it's a lot of it, some of it is moving, some of it is like the body resisting, some of it is just it's just this ball of what's going on right now. Listen to me. I'm scared.
Yeah. Wow.
I don't know if that resonates or not.
It does. It does. It really does. Because I do feel when it's like, my body wants to go in shutdown mode. And that's where I used to go, like, you know, after I got hit. And then I would go into my to my room. I'd be in isolation and just in solitary fear. I would just be in that, activated state and then just go to sleep because, cry myself to sleep. And because what else is there to do, right? Like, there's no other options at that point. So the rest, looking back on it now, I guess through the experience that I've had with my body now in this healing frame, looking back at it, like the sleeping was the smartest thing to do. Because the sleeping after that trauma kind of helped, in a way, save me. Like, it kind of helped me through the coping that I had to do in order to survive all that.
Like it took you, as your body regulated you weren't experiencing the re-regulation consciously. Like kind of like that, like it took you into a dream space or
Yeah. Which I at I think it was one of the times I drank Aya, I had that experience where I went to sleep and then I saw where I go when I'm recharging. And the story is I go somewhere and then I'm actually hooked up to this machine that helps promote my healing. And then I come back into my body. Yeah. It was cool to know that.
Wow.
It was a cool experience to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you, as you are shifting into a new way of being with your body in regards to safety and emotions and feeling things and letting it express itself, are you able to hear, are there parts of your body that are louder than others maybe somatically, not necessarily like physical pain, although it could come across as that, but like where you might feel emotions bottled up or more pressurized?
Yeah. Right here is a big one where I feel things get like either I try to bring it down, like I try to receive and bring it down and it doesn't hit, or like I try to like allow it to move up and then it gets stuck. So that's a big place.
Like there's a border on both sides of it?
Yeah.
Some sort of the wall, that wall
Yeah.
is on both sides?
Yeah.
Trying to go down or trying to go up, it just...
Yeah. So there's that one, and then...
Before you move on, what does it feel like when it hits that wall coming up?
It's like I have a cry that wants to come out, but it won't. And it gets stuck right here. That's what it feels like.
What do you find yourself doing in that situation? In that moment?
I'm not really sure in the moment. Right now, kind of what I'm experiencing, like feeling that sensation is like... It's like I feel the sadness bottled up. And it's like... I can feel that there is a part of me that like wants like this release, but it's just not coming.
Are you able to stay in that space of the cry wants to come, but it's not coming, it feels bottled up? Are you able to be in that space right there where it's tight and it's clogged and it's it's uncomfortable?
I think the answer is like yes, but only for so long. Like eventually it's like my body's like we need something else. And then it goes and finds something else. whether it's like movement, TV, something to just help redirect the energy because it gets so uncomfortable. So like I try my best to be with like the uncomfortable things like as long as I can, but also I'm like I I I try not to like really force myself.
Yeah.
Because I'm like then you're just repeating the pattern of forcing your body to do the thing that it doesn't want to do. Like, you know, if your body is saying don't do, just be like I always say, like be with it to the capacity that you can. You know, like I used to say, be with it for as much as you can, but sometimes, especially like for me, like I'm a people pleaser, I want to take on as much as I can, and then it feels overwhelming. So it's not as much to your capacity.
I like
The change in language, yeah, it really has helped. Like even like when I say that to my partner, when I'm like, be with it for as much as you can, he's like, it feels like so much, and I was like, oh, I mean like to your capacity. Like, I mean, rewind.
Have you ever in that moment of the feeling being clogged up ever talked to it or acknowledged it and said something like, hey, I see that you really want to move and that you're having a hard time moving, and I just want you to know that I acknowledge that and I'm aware of that, and like I see you in that, and I'm holding you there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I find for me that when I talk to those parts of me that are happening, that are clogged or feeling scared or the emotion is difficult, that when I talk to it like that and just let it know that I'm here with it, and that there's no rush for it to feel or to get to the other side, just to know that where it is, I'm here with it where it is, helps me a lot.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if I ever have like verbalized it like that. I have like felt like, okay, we're with it, and now it's like uncomfortable, and my body is now saying we got to get out of here. And I'm like, okay, body, I hear you.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I had a really a moment when I was talking to my partner about the whole abandonment thing, and we were unpacking what had happened. And you know, my partner's really great at they have like so much wisdom in how to like, I guess, make sense of the pain and what we can do to help alleviate the pain. And at that moment, that's not like what I needed. What I needed is like to just talk to that wounded part of me. And like on the phone with them, I'm like crying on the turnpike. And I'm just like, I'm sorry that you felt abandoned. I'm with you now. And that's what happens when I do feel these parts, like when it's really obvious for me to be like, oh, this is a part of me. And it's usually after like a good cry. I'm like with that part, and I do say like, I'm sorry you haven't felt this way. I'm with you now, and you could be exactly where you need to be. I'm not going to abandon you. I'm still going to love you no matter what. And then it's like, oh, like it's like that little me registers that rather than like this isn't gonna last forever and this and that, it'll eventually go away. And I'm like, that's not the language right now. I just need me to be like, let this be it. And also like there are parts of me that are kind of like, oh, how precious that this little part of me has these tears that they get to express. Like whenever I hear babies cry now, oh my gosh, I'm like turning into like mother mode. But it's like whenever I hear babies cry, I'm like, oh, this sweet little thing is just like letting us know it's here. Like
That's so good. Oh, I love that. I love that. I love like the process of just taking care of ourselves like that, and our our little ones inside, and learning how to do that. And then when you finally connect and you are in a space where you're able to do it naturally and they're responding naturally, and you like realize that you have this really beautiful relationship with this kid that used to act up, because not in a bad, not because like they're like but they just want to be seen and heard, and you finally are seeing and hearing them, and they're like, thank you for seeing and hearing me.
Yeah, 1000%. It's literally liberating. Because there was a last year I really came to a point. It was before the first time I was like introduced to this way of like approaching our feelings, right? And I was trying to expand my spiritual business, and I just kept on coming up against blocks and blocks. And then I got through the program I was in, I got a distance Reiki, and she expressed that, like, it's your inner child. You need to, you need to create this relationship with your inner child. And every time I went to my inner child, she was balled up in her bed, wrapped up in her blanket, and I was like, I'm here for you. Like, here I am. And she just did not trust me, which that's fair. Like, she got trust issues, like valid, and then also like being patient with myself. Like, I realized I was that impatient mother who wanted her 2-year-olds to put the shoes on because we had to do go out and do whatever, when it's like your child is just having big feelings. Maybe like the thing you're doing isn't really that important than your child feeling safe. So, right? Right?
So good.
I don't know. Maybe your child's safety and maybe your own safety should be what we should be centering ourselves around. Just a radical idea. Call me a progressive. But yeah, I also had to realize, like, I was doing a lot of work of like, well, I need to get to my inner child. But then I'm getting curious about her and why she was feeling that way. But then I had to be like, wait, who's the part of me that wants my inner child to move so fast? What's her deal? And then that's another journey of like giving myself patience and compassion. And also realizing like, like I'm someone like, I want to drink the medicine and heal everything in one weekend. And that's not, it's not going to happen. Who knows if I'm even going to heal all of this in a lifetime, right? Like, but being able to just like really be patient with these parts of myself has been, I used to think that these parts were like controlling my life, when in a way they were, but it was like, the tension and the distance I was putting between me and these parts. That was where the disconnect was happening. And once I finally got all these parts of me on the same team, even if we're not working well together, just knowing we're all on the same team has been like the most freeing I've felt probably in my whole existence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am happy for all of your parts.
Thank you.
And you.
Thank you, Joel.
Yeah, I have that. I just connected with my little one. This little 6-year-old who's just, feel like he's a 6-year-old who's just it's this worthless thing that I was working on for so long the last year, and finally connected with him, and it's like a big victory, and it's like we finally are both realizing we're on the same team, and the amount of stability that brings is, I'm still like integrating the stability. I'm like, oh wow, this is something new. I haven't felt this before. Yeah. And it's really wild.
I'm so happy you have that relationship with your little now.
Thanks.
It's so great to hear.
I am too. I'm very happy. Yeah, he's happy too.
Mm.
It's so good. It's so good. It feels like, well, question.
Mm.
Feels like we're about to wrap up here.
Mm-hmm.
When we started, you were wondering why you were being called to do this. And I'm wondering if you got an answer yet.
So confused. No, again. Do you know what's interesting? The incantations you were saying, and the had a lot to just like calling in these different spirits to heal me. And before this, I was like looking at like specifically this one like spiritual healing practitioner that my sister-in-law knows. And I was like, I just feel like I really need that kind of healing. I need some kind of healing. And then there was like a paywall that I couldn't meet. So as we were doing this, I thought of that, and now I get it. Yeah, I get it. Thanks, universe. And thank you, Joel. I really do appreciate you inviting me to be here, because there are still parts of me that feel like, baby's first time feeling emotion. And, where I feel very, I still feel very novice in coming to my parts. So sometimes it's when that part takes the forefront, it's easy for me to overlook the wisdom that I have gained in myself. And I'm happy that I'm able to share that with you as my friend, but also able to share it on this platform you're creating. And I sincerely believe that, like, this is medicine. Healed people heal people.
I agree that this is medicine. And the way that you were with me in this time here, just on this podcast, this episode, and you were sharing your wisdom of you and your parts and how you are with them, it just makes me feel like now you have this recorded time that you can go and listen to and be like, wow, look at where I am.
Yeah.
Look at where I've gotten after all this work. And it's just right there. You can hear yourself. And it's really powerful stuff. And I'm really filled with so much joy that you came on here and shared that with me and spoke of what you've learned about yourself. It means a lot to me, too.
Thank you, Joel. Oh, I love you.
I love you, too.
I'm so grateful for our friendship.
Likewise.
Oh, every time I hang out with you, it's like, oh, yes, hanging out with Joel again. It's just always so good.
Okay, well, thank you for that. I guess now is the time where I send my invite out to all those listening to make a little room for healing in your life. And I look forward to our next time together.